What's up guys, Mickle here, and in this video, I want to talk about when we can finally see an end to this Ripple SEC case. Now we all know that if this case goes to summary judgment, we're likely looking for this case to go into the early part of 2023. But the more this case is dragged on, the more lawyers have taken the opinion that this case will actually end in a settlement. In this video, I want to show you guys the last day where a settlement would still make sense. There is actually a very strict cutoff where if we do not get a settlement before this date, it is more likely than anything that this case will go the distance. In this video, I want to show you guys a couple different things that are all pointing to this one time period where we need to see a settlement by, or else we should be confident that this case will go the distance. I also want to talk about the possibility of this case being outright dismissed. Now, the SEC's behavior in this case has been downright atrocious, and they have actually met a lot more qualifications than you guys probably would think to actually have the court straight up dismiss this case. In this video, I want to talk about the possibility of this happening, whether or not I think it's realistic, and whether or not this would even be a good thing for Ripple. Make sure to stick around till the end of the video to see that. You are not going to want to miss it. Like always, if you guys are new to this channel or come here all the time, please take a second to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It goes such a long way in helping this channel grow, and it really does mean so much to me. If you guys are ever looking for a good place to buy some XRP, even if you live in the United States, make sure to check out the link in the description below. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. Real quick guys, MooMoo is slowly becoming one of my favorite places to buy and sell stocks. If you sign up with MooMoo right now and deposit just $1 using the link in the description below, you will get 7 free stocks. Each one of these stocks could be worth up to $1,000, so make sure to check that out if you want some free stocks. So guys, I want to start out this video and show you a brand new interview of David Schwartz where he is directly talking about why the XRP ledger is so important. Now, I think it is so important that when David Schwartz does interviews like this, we pay very close attention because David Schwartz is an absolute genius in this space. Listening to this interview and other clips like this will make you so much smarter on cryptocurrencies, more specifically the XRP ledger, but will give you such a higher level understanding and make you so much more confident in your investment. So listen up very closely to this. What he says here is very important.
There are a bunch of different cryptocurrencies out there. You know, Bitcoin kind of is decentralized. You know, you don't want a centralized bank involved. Ethereum allows you to program decentralized applications. Make the case for XRP. What is its benefit and purpose?
Well, I would say there's kind of two aspects to that. So one of them is like, what is Ripple doing with XRP? And the other one is like, what is everybody else in the world doing with XRP? From Ripple's point of view, XRP has the properties to be a sort of intermediary or settlement asset because it's fast, and it's cheap to move. So what I mean by a settlement asset is when you pulled out that 50-pound note and you pointed out like you can't move the 50-pound note to Mars in 50 milliseconds. XRP you can move around the world in just a couple of seconds. It's much faster than Bitcoin or Ethereum.
You would need a very fast rocket ship to get there in that time.
So one example of a use case that Qualix is using right now is remittances between the United States and Mexico. So rather than having to move that money the conventional way, which takes several days and it's very expensive, they just buy XRP at the moment they need it, and a few seconds later they sell that XRP for Mexican pesos. So what you have is you have a remittance pipeline that sources the liquidity on demand, and you're not exposed to the volatility of cryptocurrencies because XRP is so fast you hold it for a minute or two. That's less volatility than the peso over 2 or 3 days. And it's 40 to 60% cheaper. So we're pursuing those kind of intermediate, like if we're gonna have hundreds of thousands of assets, we can't have millions of asset pairs with deep liquidity. Like you can't take any one of those 100,000 assets and have lots of liquidity to every single other one of those 100,000 assets. There's just too many of them. So our strategy is to position XRP as sort of the intermediary asset, the sort of the liquidity source. As far as what other people are doing, the XRP ledger has very low fees, very high throughput, and very high speeds, and it also has a decentralized exchange built in.
So guys, a couple things to point out here, and one of them was very subtle, so you'll definitely have to let me know down in the comment section below if you notice this. But the first thing we need to talk about is the idea of liquidity. David Schwartz often says that his end goal for the XRP ledger is perfect and pristine liquidity. Now, payments are critical for the XRP ledger to solve, but liquidity is so much bigger, and it is key to understand this. The biggest issue with our current financial system is liquidity. Our entire financial system is built on 1950s infrastructure, and it's simply broken. It takes forever to move money around the world, and because of that, our markets are very illiquid. Money does not get to where it needs to be in time. It's slow, it's expensive to move, and even selling large amounts of certain amounts of assets are not liquid because our financial system is so outdated. XRP Ledger solves this issue perfectly, and that's really why whenever you hear David Schwartz talking in interviews like this, you always hear him talk about liquidity. Liquidity is key to solve, and if you really look into the 2008 financial recession, then you will understand liquidity was the biggest issue during that time period and the biggest issue during the 2020 crash. Now, I could do a whole video on how XRP specifically solves this liquidity problem, but guys, that's going to take me like 15 minutes to explain. So if you guys want to know more about that, make sure to let me know down in the comment section below. I wanted to show you this too. This is for those of you who are looking very closely at this interview and the thing I mentioned earlier that many of you might not have caught. Sitting next to David Schwartz in this interview is actually Jeremy Allaire, the CEO of Circle. Now, Circle and Ripple don't have any outspoken or public partnership, but guys, it is hard for me to believe that these guys are not working behind the scenes. Circle and Ripple really are the most transparent and most institutionally focused crypto companies out there, and you often see members of Circle and members of Ripple together at these different events. Now, it's really hard for me to believe that the only reason they're not currently working together is because of the current Ripple SEC case. I'm sure they're working together behind the scenes because whenever you see them talking on stage, they're always complimenting each other. They're always acting like they know each other pretty well. I think after this case ends, and I've said this multiple times, we are going to see some huge announcements out of Ripple, and I have a feeling that a big partnership with Circle is right around the corner. So guys, now I want to move on and talk about how the Ripple versus SEC case might end and what the last day for a settlement would be if a settlement was to occur. Now, a lot of different lawyers following this case for the entire time they've been following this case have thought that this case would end in a settlement. But as this case is dragged on, a lot of people have definitely lost hope on the settlement route and are leaning now more towards summary judgment. If this case does go to summary judgment, this case is going into the early part of 2023 as the judge makes her decision. But if this case does end in a settlement, I want to go over when we can expect this settlement to occur by, because there really is a hard line where after this date, a settlement becomes much less realistic. First of all, I wanted to show you this tweet by Ashley Prosper because this gives us the first indication of a possible date. Ashley Prosper tweeted out, "I just realized that my FOIA request for the UK's FCA and my FOIA request to the US SEC regarding communications about XRP have both been giving a September timeline for investigation. Don't want to draw conclusions, but I think that's significant." So this is pretty interesting by Ashley Prosper. She is saying that she is submitting FOIA requests to different members of the UK and the US government, and all these different parties have all given her a deadline for September for when they will hand over the documents. Now, it is very likely that these government agencies do not want to hand over any internal documents regarding XRP until this case is over. The last thing these government agencies want to do is screw each other over and end up handing over evidence that could be critical to this case. It's also very interesting that these two parties in two different countries are both giving Ashley Prosper the same month for when they will hand over these documents. So does this mean that we for sure have a settlement in September? No, but it's very interesting to see they're both saying September. So what makes me so sure we will likely see a settlement by September if a settlement is going to happen? Well, Jungle Link has actually been talking about this for a while now, and I think it is critical. September 31st is the last day of the SEC's fiscal year, and if this case is going to settle, then the SEC is likely going to settle this case before this date. The SEC has been wrapped up in the Ripple SEC case forever now, and guys, they are likely so sick of it. The SEC has so much easier cases out there, and if they are going to waste so much time and money just to lose this case to Ripple, this is going to be a horrible look for Gary Gensler. And I know a lot of you guys are thinking, oh, well, Gary Gensler doesn't care. He's just a corrupt politician. Well, guys, Gary Gensler cares a lot about his reputation because if the only thing he did at the SEC in his time there was lose the Ripple case and not even get settlement money out of them, that is going to be a very bad look for any future positions he is looking to get. We know Gary Gensler wants to move on to the Treasury, so guys, he wants a big win. He wants settlement money for Ripple. He does not want to lose this case at summary judgment, but most importantly, he wants to pursue some easier cases. For that to happen, he is going to want to wrap up this Ripple case this fiscal year so he can move into the next fiscal year with more money, more firepower, more time, and more lawyers to attack the next project he wants to go after. So guys, the most important takeaway from that is that if this case goes past September 31st and into October, then it is very likely it will go the distance and we are not looking at any settlement scenario. I wanted to move on though and show you one last thing, and this is pretty interesting. This was also out of Ashley Prosper, and she was pointing out the idea of this case being dismissed. And guys, you would be shocked how close the SEC is to getting this case dismissed. Ashley Prosper tweeted out, "The SEC behaving badly could get this case dismissed. 4 of the 5 factors for dismissal have been met, and Judge Netburn using the term unfaithful allegiance to the law, bad faith, is another check in the dismissal box, unlikely but something to consider." And if we take a look at the qualifications for a case to be dismissed, we can see that this case checks off 4 of the 5. Now, I don't want to go over each one of these in depth, but number 1 is essentially that the public wants this case to go fast. Obviously, we want this to go fast. Number 2 is that the court needs to be busy. I think courts are always busy, so I think 1 and 2 are definitely checked off. 3 and 4 really have to do with the absurd behavior by the SEC. How out of line is the SEC acting? Well, we can see that Judge Netburn specifically said that the SEC is acting in bad faith. So that is a bad start for the SEC because this is one of the qualifications to get this case thrown out. But take a look at this. This is another qualification for this case to be thrown out, affirming dismissal of defendant's counterclaim under court's inert power for concealing documents and violating the court's discovery orders. So this is essentially saying, is the SEC violating the court's orders? Now, we have seen the SEC do a whole bunch of very shady stuff. Whether or not this has completely crossed the line, I don't know because I'm not a lawyer, but we can see that the SEC multiple times has at least tried to violate the court's discovery orders. So could the court throw this out? I do believe the court could throw this out if they wanted to, but I don't think that's what the court would do. The court could make things so much worse for the SEC if they just granted Ripple the win. Honestly, dismissing this case at this point would be more of a loss for Ripple. Ripple has done everything they need to do to win this case, and they have judges who understand cryptocurrencies and likely understand that cryptocurrencies are not securities. So the last thing Ripple really needs is for this case to be thrown out because they are already looking so good for summary judgment and would likely do better with this settlement also, where the SEC is forced to give forward-looking guidance on XRP. A dismissal of the case might just make things even more confusing if there's no way for the judge to make it clear, I'm dismissing this case, but also XRP is not a security. I doubt that's possible because dismissing the case is really throwing it out and not making a ruling. That's why I really don't think this case will be dismissed. Is it possible? Yes, anything's possible, but I think it's better for Ripple. I think the judges would have a lot more fun giving the SEC a huge loss. Anyway, though, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for coming. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.